Welcome to the Edge of NFT podcast with your hosts, Jeff Kelly, Eathan, Janney, and Josh Kriger. We aim to bring you not only the top 1% of what's going on with NFTs today, but what will stand the test of time. We explore the nuts and bolts and the business side, but also the human element of how NFTs are changing the way we interact with the things that we love. This podcast is for the futurists and dreamers, the disruptors and creators, the fans and connectors, and the makers and doers that are pumped about this ecosystem and driving where it goes next.
Today's Spotlight episode is sponsored by Mogul and features Gorav Seth, the co-chair of film financing at Mogul, a global NFT and DeFi platform for film and entertainment. In 6 months, they have become one of the world's largest NFT platforms. Gorav has worked for 15 years in corporate finance and investment banking at leading independent investment dealers based in Toronto. During his career, Gorav has worked on over $4 billion of transactions, successfully advising corporate clients on transactions ranging from M&A and restructuring to IPOs, RTOs, and financings. Prior to his career in capital markets, Gorav spent over a decade working in the film and television industry as an entertainment manager and financier. Gorav, welcome to Edge of NFT. It's great to have you here.
Oh, great to be here. It's quite the intro.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you. So many different folks have told us we had to get you guys on the show and learn about all the exciting stuff you're doing. And I'm an LA guy. I've been here for 7 years, and you can't help but get a sense of sort of the changing climate in the film industry. And Eathan and I interact with a lot of folks that are in that industry. So I think your perspective, having been one of the first and only folks to really leverage blockchain and NFTs in film so far, is going to be really helpful for our listeners. And I'm personally really excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, totally.
And so the one thing about LA is the climate there is pretty consistent.
That is true. That is true.
I did. Just an aside from that, what was it? No, I'm gonna forget his name. David Lynch. David Lynch was doing a daily weather report, where he just makes like a 5-minute YouTube video, and he lives in LA, of course, and he just goes on and makes a YouTube live, and he just says it's gonna be sunny today, and that's it. And he just makes the quick video and he gets off, and then he draws a few random ping pong balls from like a bucket and tells you what the number of the day is. Pretty awesome. Anyways,
I tend to open my door and decide, do I wear a hoodie today or no hoodie? That's the extent of my my weather preparedness.
Well, luckily that aside was relatively on topic with David Lynch being a famous film director, but we want to talk about Mogul here a little bit more, and really just start from the beginning here. How did the idea for Mogul come about?
So I think the genesis for this platform was really born from, there's a story about how the movie Deadpool got made. And the crux of it is that Ryan Reynolds had been trying to get Deadpool made for many years. And all the studios had passed on getting that movie made, partially because it was an R-rated movie, in the comic book universe. And usually conventionally 15 to 24-year-old kids are your target audience. And they said it'd never work. Ryan Reynolds was so compelled to make this movie, he went out and made a trailer and put that trailer online. Fans went nuts and essentially forced the studio's hand to make that movie. And then we all know the success of Deadpool. I'm a big fan of it. And it's done really, really well at the box office. And the idea there is that they were able to democratize the decision-making process on how that film got made by giving power back to the people that consume the content. Usually, movies are made the other way around. They'll have people that come up with ideas, script treatments. There'll be some people in an office somewhere that are screening for them. and then they'll decide what they think is or is not commercially viable. And they make that movie, and at the very end of it, they'll do a screen test to audiences, and they'll say, you know, is the ending too harsh? Should we not have killed the dog? People hate dogs dying. I'm a big animal fan, so that would not be something I'd like to see in a movie. But you know, they do those test audiences and they tweak the movie accordingly. Whereas here with Mogul, the point is to leverage blockchain technology to give power back to the fans and let them take part in the place of those people, where it's a decentralized kind of community that's making decisions on what they want to see, be able to interact with the projects themselves, the cast, give feedback, where you have this loop. And then that way, the people, the creatives that are making this content have an aligned and well-versed audience that you know, is going to create this network effect, anything that they do. So it's really taking away those intermediaries that are notorious for taking advantage of both people, you know, behind the camera and the business people, and to even the fans themselves.
So why blockchain? Why not just crowdfunding? I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm curious.
Well, with crowdfunding, I talked about that circular loop, and I think one of the best things that I've really learned through my experience with crypto is that you need to engage, really embrace crypto and utilize you know, all the functionality and capabilities of it. Having kind of a decentralized platform, and we have some technology, quadratic voting, so people can't take advantage of the votes, but we're trying to level the playing field and provide that kind of informational, like that circular loop where people can take place, earn, and get involved in some of these projects that get made, which you wouldn't have conventionally in a crowdfunding. I look at that as very one-way street.
Yeah, it's more of a transactional relationship, and then you have like some engagement and you're updating the fans, but there's not as much of a connectivity tissue to that sort of format, is what I'm getting from what you shared. So I guess that leads to the next question, which is, tell us more about Mogul's NFT marketplace that's being launched soon. When's it being launched, and what can we expect there in terms of the kinds of NFTs that it may include?
Yeah, so we have, aside from our DeFi platform, we're launching this full NFT marketplace targeted towards the entertainment industry, and that's happening mid-September. In conjunction with the launch of our marketplace, we have an NFT drop of a series of NFTs. We've collaborated with a company in a film called Reboot Camp, sorry, and they have a number of different, you know, well-known personalities in there. We have Ja Rule, which I'm sure everybody's seen the Fire Festival documentary. We have
He's all over NFTs though. That guy loves NFTs.
Oh, he
does. Say that again, Josh.
Oh, I was saying Ja Rule. He's all over NFTs. That guy loves NFTs.
Ja Rule loves NFTs. He became a meme with the entire Fire Festival kind of you know, phenomena that happened. And, yeah.
But I think he sees the power of NFTs to sort of do the right thing by crowd sort of creation and community building. He was on stage when the Dino Monks just launched their NFT drop, and saw him hanging out with Roman Tirone, one of our friends that's been on the show. So anyways, a little bit of a tangent, but you were saying?
Yeah, so yeah, we have him. We have David Koechner from Anchorman. And a few other really great casts. We have a adult film star named Nikki Anderson, Nicole Anderson. That you know, she's also doing an NFT drop. And what we're doing is we're collaborating with the filmmaker to create NFTs out of behind the scenes or kind of never like deleted scenes from the film, turning those into NFTs, and then building some rewards and experiences for the fans. So there's a premiere taking place at the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. It's where the Academy Awards and everything take place. And they're doing an event there where all the cast are going to join. Anybody that bids and wins an NFT will actually be able to go there and attend for themselves, meet the cast, interact with them, to make this kind of 2D to 3D type dimensional experience. So that's pretty interesting, and even get some of like there's some art that was made in the film that we're turning into NFTs, and you know, people that bid on those NFTs will be able to get the physical piece as well.
That's really great. Yeah, it's really great to see people, you know, pushing the boundaries and seeing what you can do. Want to dive in even deeper here about how Mogul will impact some things. You could think of 3 key elements, right, in the film industry. You got production, distribution, fan participation. How would you say you guys are going to affect each of those elements?
So starting off is, you know, I've had quite a bit of experience, you know, and in the film business and on the capital funding side as a banker. And the, you know, the creatives in the industry, it is very, you know, it's very much a kind of a top-down, centralized decision-making process for how films get made, how they get distributed. Hollywood's all about stars, and there's a few people that have a lot of power, and you know, you have the studios that make their big films, and then you have the independent producers that are trying to make their own projects. So let's take the perspective of an independent producer or a creative from that side. If you're trying to make a film or some type of creative work, and you're trying to raise capital for that project, you're doing it very much in a vacuum. So you don't know what is and what is not going to do well. You have to build an audience and get distribution. Raising capital is difficult because the people on the other side, the investors, have no data points on whether this film will do well or not. They don't know how this film compares to other projects of a similar budget, similar type cast, similar return profile. So by putting this on the blockchain, onto our platform where the users can interact, the filmmakers get to tap a global audience of potential investors and participants or consumers of that content. So you know now that as a producer of content, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to care about it, that are going to support it with their wallets, and they're going to tell all their friends about it. And that's very powerful, because, you know, instead of trying to scrape together capital, making a movie that may or not resonate with audiences, you have a lot more visibility that way. From the other side, from the fans or the consumers of content, there's a lot of stuff that's made for all these streaming platforms. You have Netflix and Amazon and Apple that are just trying to churn content, given the way they make money. They make money from subscriber growth, and they need to have more and more content. And that content is just getting churned out. And I find myself this kind of paralysis from analysis. I'm sitting at home trying to watch something, and I have no idea what to watch. And I'll scroll and scroll and scroll. And I carry very little about any of these projects. I don't know what's good, what isn't. And it may be on a subject matter, a topic that I don't care about. Whereas as a fan, like with the Deadpool effect, people can actually influence what they want to see get made and really care about it. Then I know if I was involved getting a film made with the filmmakers, or, you know, the cast or types of content, and be able to interact with this, I'd be a lot more inclined to watch it, tell my friends about it, and support it.
So
Yeah. Just to follow up there, it just reminds me of a lot of the NFT drops that are going on as of late. You know, people are getting a taste for kind of a model that works well, and that is definitely around community, people feeling invested in the project. You know, not just that they spent their money on it, but they want to kind of co-create it and have fun with it, and they're already engaged and involved. And I could see it, you working with, you know, static NFTs right now in these communities. So clearly it could work in the film industry like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost it's a more ubiquitous use case in a lot of ways than these static NFTs really allow, because you know, fandom and Hollywood have gone together like peanut butter and jelly since the very beginning. I guess the question for me around the genres is it sounds like you're open-minded to the whole spectrum, right? Like you talked about everything from G-rated to maybe R-rated content that you're doing from a traditional Hollywood sort of rating system, but are you thinking about documentaries and sort of all sorts of different types of length movies and shorts? Like, are you sort of saying, you know, I'm wide open here, let's just do cool stuff, or where do you put the bumpers at this point?
We are agnostic in terms of what we're going to do, but at the same time, we're still a relatively new project. We're trying to disrupt a relatively archaic industry, and the challenge for us at this point is really trying to define some kind of boundaries on what we are capable of and what actually works for their community. So case in point is we've had some really great projects submitted to us that are not even in script form. Like they might be a 5-page treatment for a movie. And you know, to get into script development, it could be 3 years before you get a finished script. I mean, who knows where the industry is going to be there. And crypto is a 24/7 marketplace where people are communities are interacting and engaging from around the world in different time zones. To have our community wait for 3 years for a script to get made and then another year to get a movie made isn't viable for us at this point. And another thing is, if you know, we obviously want to avoid anything offensive, you know, obviously for obvious purposes, and the other thing would be financial constraints. Like if somebody wanted to make a movie, you know, with Tom Cruise in space blowing up a whole bunch of stuff, and it's going to cost $300 million, that's not something that we're able to do at this point. I hope, you know, that point is very near, and given the way how quickly crypto moves, you know, could be around the corner. But at this point, we have to put some boundaries on kind of what we accept before we put it onto the platform.
Well, we got a great idea for a movie when you do, you know, get to that point. That's Tom Cruise going into actual outer space and maybe even blowing up some planets or something. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe you can race Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
There you go. There you go.
Well, Ethan's working on a script, so he should have it to you within the next few months, at least according to his commitment he gave us about when it's going to be ready. So something to look forward to. It's on a topic that you never would have expected. So
I'll take a wild guess and say it's not about cats and dogs.
It's not about cats and dogs. No. Yeah, I think that let's just say the film industry is craving the next or first movie about the politics of the piano tuning community, and that's basically where this is coming from. So anyways,
I look forward to watching it.
There you go.
One thing I neglected to mention, which is important because we did talk about our NFT marketplace, is, you know, we're creating this NFT marketplace catered towards the entertainment space. We're doing this series of drops now with these celebrities in this movie. But there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with the NFT space. And, you know, it can be everything from IP to static images, to motion video, to music, whatever that may be. And I think that poses a really interesting opportunity for the creatives. So traditionally, for a filmmaker or a music artist, and you're making content, you have very linear methods to distribute and monetize on that. One of the best examples that I learned about around how you could utilize NFTs is, let's say a filmmaker made an NFT. Say you have a filmmaker that has fans online and he's done some stuff, talented, but unknown. Let's say it's George Lucas 25 years ago or 30 years ago, I don't know, 40 years ago. And he makes a short film and he needs $100,000 to do it. It'll be really, really tough to get $100,000 to fund a short film that may or not get distributed anywhere. So imagine that was in the present, and we made an NFT, a limited edition NFT for that short film for 100 copies or whatever it is. And we sold those, and he gets funded and he makes his project. And then he goes on to do Star Wars or some Academy Award. Now, the secondary market for those NFTs for that short film would benefit the users, because now there's a much greater bid, there's value. Imagine having the first piece of work from George Lucas prior to Star Wars, or the Scorsese before the Godfather, or any of these types of films. So in a sense, you're actually helping that filmmaker get to the next level by getting that short film made. And then as he bears success, so does the community that holds those NFTs. But then back to the filmmaker, instead of having to deal with an intermediary, he could build into the smart contract a royalty for those short films every time they transact. And now he has a revenue stream that's helping him to make more work. And then he's also engaging with the audience and communicating his vision for things, getting feedback from the community. And I think it's a lot more immersive and powerful thing without anybody getting taken advantage of. You hear very often about Hollywood accounting practices being very much opaque in nature. People don't know how the money is being moved around. Movies make hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, but fail to make a profit when it comes down to paying out distributions and royalties and things like that. So I think blockchain is very powerful for that.
So it's fascinating. So having talked to some directors and producers about what goes into making a movie, I feel like they're miracle workers at the end of the day, oftentimes with ridiculous unknowns thrown at them every second. I'm sure when you add in blockchain and what you're doing, while it brings additional benefits, there's also additional challenges and complexities. Can you talk a little bit about that, what you've run into and sort of what you're still trying to navigate?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I think is the largest, I don't want to say impediment, but just challenge or friction is really the learning curve. So, DeFi, NFTs, crypto, once you're immersed in it, and I can tell you firsthand myself, it's not that complicated, but it looks very complicated for somebody who's not necessarily technical savvy or seeing this for the first time. So most people, the general public, know crypto or blockchain from Bitcoin, or maybe now Ethereum and Dogecoin. And the proliferation of the use case for blockchain has become a lot more apparent in society, with companies like Tesla and major institutional investors coming into the space. But for the most part, the average person doesn't know very much about blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFTs. So we're speaking in a different language than them. A lot of the people that we may be interacting with have been doing the same thing for the last 30 years. So now we need to shift that, disrupt it completely, and say, we're gonna try to take as much off-chain stuff and put it on chain and interact with this community. And you're going to use Telegram. What's Telegram? What's what's Discord? How do you use that? What's this wallet address thing? Oh, you're going to fund the movie. You're going to give me fake internet money. And like, how do we put that, and how do we pay the actors and the union? And there's so many different variables that we have to educate these people on before they can really fully embrace it. And I think the success that we've had is that everybody we've been able to connect with and show them the tech that we've built and how they can navigate in the ecosystem, and the potential has more than embraced it. But that's very time consuming.
Well, success breeds success, and you've had some victories so far, right? What was the biggest one to date?
Well, I mean, we sold $10 million of NFTs, at the very launch of our platform several months ago. It must have been back in April, and we had an NFT drop for a Marvel artist named Rob Pryor. And really, really talented guy. You guys have to check him out if you haven't seen him already, but he can paint with like both hands at the same time. It's just like savant-like capabilities. And he makes really cool art for all the studios and has a big fan following himself. So, he's joined our advisory team, and we did a community-funded vote for a painting that he should draw. Or paint, the painting he should draw. It was for a Wolf of Wall Street painting. So the community voted on that, and we did a live stream where we had nearly 500,000 people from around the world through various platforms streaming and watching this event in real time, where he has a blank white canvas and he creates this Wolf of Wall Street painting. We turned it into an NFT, and then he burned the physical copy in front of the live audience there. So that piece of art was the first time an artist had burned their own work of art, the physical form, so it only exists on the blockchain. And then we auctioned it off and had a winning bid of nearly $200,000 US, beating some pretty well-known people, Floyd Mayweather and Snoop Dogg. We beat their NFT drops with the event. And I think the success has in great part to do with Rob's engagement and involvement, talking to the community, interacting with them, educating them on his craft and his talents, having people really appreciate that and get involved in the process. And that day, I think we had several $1 million of volume. Our token moved, I think 200 or 300% on that day. And we had some really great feedback from everybody that was involved. His physical art has gone up in value by 3 to 4 times. Or actually, it's more. I think it's like 6 to 7 times based on his last sale. So it's had a profound effect on him. And we're working on another NFT collection with him on like a Stanley collection, which will be very cool.
Got to be careful upsetting Snoop Dogg and Floyd Mayweather, though. So just keep on your toes there.
Not saying that they weren't successful, but we have to give kudos to Rob.
I think we're starting to start a Twitter war right here.
I don't have any followers.
I said that I think there's a Twitter war brewing here, so could be something to look forward to.
I sincerely hope not, because I'm big fans of both of them.
Well, it's always fun. It's all good fun. Yeah. So just what about like partnerships that you guys are working on? Can you tell us a little bit more about, future partnerships that may be in the works here?
Yeah, so we partnered up with a company called Bungalow Media, which is run by a guy named Phil Goldfine. He's won an Academy Award and Emmy Award. They've done tons of films, so we're working on a couple of things with them. The first film vote that we had, our showcase, Terminal Station was the film that won and is going to be produced by their studio. So that's exciting. We have the Stan Lee collection that I mentioned with Rob Pryor. That's going to be coming up after the reboot camp event that we have coming up in September. I mentioned that there's a live premiere and an event that anybody that bids on the NFTs and wins them will be able to attend. We're working on a couple of other things with some of the creatives involved in Reboot Camp. And then we're also working with a few other artists and musicians on trying to create some interesting things. I can't yet announce those, but we have some pretty cool things happening with people on the music side, film and TV side, and art side.
Very cool. So this all leads to a question around where does this all go from here for Mogul over the next few years? Like what's keeping you up at night? What are the sort of aspirations that you have beyond the functionality that is currently available in your ecosystem?
I think for me, the reason that I was really drawn to this project is I think there's an opportunity to make the space better. Better in the sense that there's more transparency for the stakeholders and participants in the industry, from the people that are supposed to be getting royalties and distribution, to the creatives that may not be able to raise money or get capital for their works of art or the content that they want to make, for the investors that are trying to participate in the industry without being taken advantage of, from the fans that haven't had a voice, and leveling the playing field for them. So I think there's an opportunity to really disrupt and revolutionize the industry as a whole. And with what we're doing, I know we're the first to do it. We're certainly not going to be the last. I know there's been a few other projects that have popped out that are trying to do similar things. And I think we're very much welcome to that, because it's a big industry, and there's a lot of people that we have to convert to the blockchain and crypto side, and we're doing it, one by one, organization by organization. And our advisory team that we have has been very helpful. We've gotten a lot of inbound people reaching out to us from really well-known people, celebrities that have reached out to us, which has been really cool, and trying to work with them on different projects that we can collaborate on, whether it be on the film side, music side, or even the NFT side. So, really what I see down the road, I can say 3 to 5 years out, which is eternity in the land of crypto. But I really see the
also
way
the title
films
of
get
the film.
Yeah.
Eternity in the Land of Crypto.
Is it? Okay. Very cool.
Sorry, I'm just coming up with all kinds of ideas. It might be the Tom Cruise film that we're making.
So somebody's got to coin that. I'll have to register the trademark quickly. Turn that into an NFT.
Well, you got a couple days before this airs, so.
Okay, perfect. So I think the way a lot of projects, art, and content gets made, I think it's going to start taking place on the blockchain. And right now, a lot of it's off-chain that we have to use an oracle to bring on. But as the industry gets more immersed and more people start using it, more high-profile celebrities, directors, producers, studios, the more and more they start using it, the more stuff we can put on chain, which means the better for the entire community and all the stakeholders involved, right? Then we don't have to rely on any type of discrepancy or anything that could come up to human discretion or error. Like, for instance, we have a partnership with a company called AIOZ that allows us to do distribution on the blockchain. So, that's a game changer for anybody that's trying to distribute a movie, because one of the biggest problems is collecting. Imagine having to collect from 20 different countries around the world, getting paid on time, making sure that the numbers they're giving you are factual, and the costs involved, all the marketing that has to be done. You could do this using our partner at a fraction of the cost, without any of the uncertainty on how you're going to get paid, and having a lot more transparency and ease. And now it's not, something that you'd have to go to like a Warner Brothers or something, or Paramount, to get distributed. Like, anybody could do that. So the barrier to entry.
I just thought of another idea. I'm sure it's crossed your mind, but in podcasting, you deal with dynamic versus static ads, but let's just say Coca-Cola supports one of your projects, but you could do that on a 2-year contract, and then potentially with this type of experience, you could then switch it over to Pepsi if they buy the contract for the next 5 years, right? So there's this idea of dynamic sponsorship within movies too that just came to my head.
That's great. It's a great idea. I'm gonna have to take a note of it because I hadn't thought about it. But it's a really good, really good application and an opportunity there.
You guys got to start writing me and Josh into some of these smart contracts around this stuff. That's all. So speaking of eternity in the land of crypto, as we mentioned earlier, we do like to kind of get our guest perspective on what's coming next. We talked a lot about the film industry, so I'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas about other areas in the film industry, projects, platforms, either existing or yet to be formed, that stand out to you as maybe game changers would be here in 3 to 5 to 10 to eternity in the land of crypto?
So if you look at the film industry, like any other industry, there's a value chain, and there's different participants that play along that value chain. So you have, from the film financing side to the production side to the distribution side. And each of those different areas of the value chain have application to be disrupted and optimized on the blockchain. So distribution, for instance, right now, there's a handful of very large streaming platforms, Disney, Apple, Netflix, etc., that have most of the content. I mean, now the entire industry has shifted that films bypass theatrical release, especially now with COVID, and go straight to streaming. And that window's narrowed. So imagine, I mentioned earlier with distribution, imagine you could actually participate and get rewarded for watching content and being able to get a piece of the pie in terms of the advertising revenue. If there was advertising revenue, if you wanted to have advertising revenue, I mean, you could do so many things where you could reward users for a call to action. And right now, the way things are set up, it's a one-way street. It's not a two-way street in terms of how things get done. You have people and organizations that think this is the way the industry is going to go, and they roll out certain initiatives. Even the way the entire platforms are set up, it's a one-way street. So, the only thing that we get right now, to a certain extent, is data collection from our phones, how we browse to determine buying patterns. But it's still not anything that we have a choice in interacting and engaging with. Like our own data is being sold, and we don't reap any of the benefits. But being able to interact on the blockchain in the crypto community and be able to build smart contracts around certain things, whatever it is, from product placement, as you mentioned, to distribution and rewarding for streaming, for how films get financed, how art and music gets distributed, using NFTs to create ancillary forms of revenue. So distribution is not the only key. I think could be very, very powerful, and there's just so much potential. I mean, I could go on for hours, but I don't think anybody wants to hear me for hours.
You'd be surprised, and we'll definitely have to keep this conversation going in the future and check in with you on all your adventures. I think it's certainly an industry that we see as unlimited in its potential, like you. So we share that ethos. We'd also love to get to know you as a person. We have a segment called Edge Quick Hitters that does just that. You up for it?
I am. Is it? I have like 5 seconds to respond, or I can have a little bit more time?
I'll give the rundown. Edge Quick Hitters are a fun and quick way to get to know you a little bit better. There are 10 questions, and we're looking for just a short, single or few word response, but feel free to expand if you get the urge. That's the framing there.
There isn't. We don't run any Jeopardy music in the background while you're thinking about your response, so should be okay.
Okay.
All right. So question 1: what is the first thing you remember ever purchasing in your life?
A sour ball. You guys remember sour
Nice.
balls? Like that, they're really, really sour, large candies.
Turn your
And
mouth like green or something.
yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, it's, you know, we've had kids candy a few times, of course, that makes sense, but it's also becoming increasingly clear that the candy has to be extreme in some way. Like it's
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
like, you know, turn you a weird color or, you know, nobody's mentioned Pop Rocks yet, but that's definitely gonna have to be
Pop
one, I
Rocks
think.
came later in life, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to date
Yeah.
myself, but I remember actually buying cigarette candies where you could actually Popeyes where you could smoke the cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Guilty.
What are you, 70? What's going on?
No. I now that you're saying that, I had those too. So question number 2, what is the first thing you remember ever selling in your life?
I used to collect hockey cards, so I remember selling hockey cards. I used to trade
Makes
and sell
sense.
hockey cards, baseball cards.
And
Very Canadian of
The
you.
olden way of collectibles, the old world.
that, that industry is
Remember
booming
when?
again, though. I heard
All
something
right.
about there being like a 1-year wait to get your cards marked right now. So it's interesting that traditional collectibles is coming back as well.
Yeah, but OPC and Tops is still around, right? Top shots.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll be talking to Top soon, I think. Question number 3. What is the most recent thing that you've purchased?
Milk for my daughter. 3%.
3%? I didn't know they had 3%. That's cool.
3%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like 7.25% myself.
My wife's actually got me off of milk, so I'm having all the other stuff that can be milked, oats, and nuts, and all types of stuff.
Excellent. All right, next question here. On the flip side of that, what is the most recent thing that you sold?
Stocks. No, actually, no, not stocks. When we had the entire, it was crypto. So when we had this dip last week, I ended up selling a bunch of crypto for USDT stable coins.
Nice. And this is the point where we have to remind the listener that this show is not investment advice.
No.
I would have loved if you said AMC
Although, yeah.
stock, that you rode the AMC stock up just to reinvest it into your company.
No.
So question 5, what is your most prized possession?
It's funny is that as I've gotten older, I've started to care less and less about things. So, it's not a good answer because I don't really care about anything really anymore. I used to care about watches and all that stuff. I think probably functionality, like my computer, my laptop, like my entire world lives on the laptop. I'm on it right now. If somebody stole it or got, if it broke, it would be bad.
Yeah, very, very practical response. So if you could buy, question 6, if you could buy anything in the world, digital, physical, service, experience, that is currently for sale, what would it be?
I'd love to go to space. I don't have that many $1 billion or any $1 billion yet, but I think that's an experience that only a few human beings will ever have. And I think being able to go to space and look into like the abyss and look back down on Earth would be a very cool experience.
Yeah, but eventually it's going to be, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Tom Cruise, and you.
Yeah,
we're putting it all together.
Hopefully, I can hitch a ride with Tom on his way down there. But I think that would be very cool.
All right, next question. If you could pass on one of your personality traits to the next generation, what would it be?
Patience. I think
Ooh. Nice, you have it. That's great.
Patience is something that I think I'm even starting to lose a little bit, and I see it with my daughter and everything with movies. If you look at old movies, like, there's no running the credits at the very beginning, like the very beginning now in a movie, right? Nobody has patience for that. Like, stuff has to blow up, all the stuff has to happen. You consume news and everything in like a line or two, and that's not the way you consume news. That's not the way you can really see a great story. So patience.
I'm envisioning that period in history where people started to walk out on movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, when things got too long, all right, I'm out of here. Oh shoot, we got to make this thing shorter.
Having a kid now, it's like nobody can be bored now, right? Because you have your phone or whatever. Remember when I was a kid, you just kind of sit down, you shut up, and you be bored. Be patient. Parents are talking.
Nice. Next question on the flip side of the last one. If you could pass on, if you could eliminate one of your personality traits from the next generation, what would that be?
One of my personality traits. I think I tend to overanalyze things.
Are you sure you overanalyze things? Are you sure that's your final answer? I mean, what if it was different? Could be. Sorry, just kidding.
I had that thought process in my head.
Is this a good answer? I don't know. Maybe I should say something.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's good to be diligent and doing your homework and analyzing things, but you can get crippled by analyzing things too much.
I think the secret is having the good partnerships. I think partnerships where you have at least two people, one that kind of just wants to get started on things and the other that wants to sit down and draw up a plan. Put them together, they'll argue sometimes, but you'll probably get a good outcome there.
Yeah, it's
totally.
Yeah.
Well, all right, let's move on to question number 9. What did you do just before joining us on the podcast?
I got this Mogul hat on.
Nice. I like that hat.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like the logo and everything. So I put on this collar shirt for this interview.
Nice.
And
Nice.
and this hat. I guess kind of post pandemic over the last year and a half. It's been a while since I've worn a collar shirt or anything other than like a ripped t-shirt.
Yeah, totally. Clothing optional these days, except when you're on a podcast or Zoom with video.
Is this a visual or is this a only audio only podcast?
We will release the video.
Okay, so people will see the hat.
Yeah.
I think we're all fully clothed for the listeners' benefit.
Yeah, totally. Thank God.
Yeah.
What are you going to do after the podcast?
I'm going to work on a presentation. So I have to sit down and work on a presentation, and then spend some time with my family. But it's kind of work, family, eating, and on repeat, rinse and repeat every day.
Right on. Well, this was a super fun interview. So glad to have you on Edge of NFT and hope to have you back again at some point in the future. Really excited to see where everything goes with your venture, which is changing the film industry in real time. Where can listeners go to learn more about you and the projects that you're working on?
So you can go to mogulproductions.com. And there's a lot of information. There's links to our Telegram, our Discord, our Twitter, etc. And I think that would probably be the best place. I always urge anybody that's listening to any podcast or any kind of talking head like me is to just do your own homework and use your favorite search engine and just kind of see what you can find and go through materials who we have on our team, what we've done, our track records, and just even come into the community and hit us up. You know, we'll respond. We're there if you have any questions, and love to meet everybody and get input, see stuff that we can do better, stuff that we're not doing well enough, and give us that feedback, because we're a new company. There's lots of iterations to where things are going to be, and you know, it's a constantly changing, evolving kind of story for us.
Amazing. And speaking of joining the community, I believe we're doing a giveaway that entails one all access pass that our listeners can win. What's that all about?
So on our platform, our stars token, which is the native token to our project, it's used as an in-app currency to be able to interact within our platform. So these all access passes will give community members or a user the ability to get rewards and experiences and giveaways within our platform. And anytime we're doing an NFT drop or a feature film, if you know, there's that event that we have taking place in LA around the reboot camp with Ja Rule and David Keckner and the rest of the cast. So to be able to go to, you know, events like that, those are some of the types of experiences. If we're funding a film, you know, be able to spend a day on set, to meet the stars, do a Zoom. You know, we offer, you know, those types of experiences that make, you know, the crypto community experience a lot more three-dimensional, and I think that's powerful and very cool.
That's amazing.
That
Thank
sounds
you so
awesome.
much for offering that to the community. And we have a lot of listeners in LA, so I'm sure they're going to be excited about competing for that pass.
Yeah,
And if one of our listeners in the Philippines gets that, they're going to have a lot of traveling to do.
well worth the travel though. I mean, I don't know how LA is right now, 'cause it's been a while, but one of my favorite places, because you have everything. You have the weather, you have the mountains, you have the ocean, you have Vegas.
I'm
And
not
you've got David
complaining.
Lynch, and you've got Josh. So yeah, can't do much better than that. Awesome stuff. Well, this has been an incredible episode. Really excited about what you're doing. You know, really proud to be able to get to know you a little bit better. Blazing the trails here. So we've basically reached the outer limit at the Edge of NFTs today. So for the listener, thanks for exploring with us. We've got more space on this starship for adventurers. So invite your friends and recruit some cool strangers that will make this journey also much better. How? Go to iTunes right now, rate us, and say something awesome. Then go to edgeofnft.com to dive further down the rabbit hole. If you want to co-create Edge of NFT with us, or you got guests you want to see on the episode, or questions for the host or guests, or an NFT you'd like us to review, drop us a line at contact@edgeofnft.com or tweet at us at edgeofnft to get in the mix. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great NFT content.